Oh, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Byzantian Brews podcast with your host, Chaotic and Byzantia Dev. We've been away for a while because it's been winter and shit, and things have been fucked. We had a bit of a storm, which knocked out my internet, and then events and stuff happened, but now we're back, and we'll hopefully no more interruptions. Yay! Yay!
Yeah, we're back. It's been a little while. Things have happened. What things have happened? It's been like 3 weeks.
So
Let's do some highlights, I guess.
oof. Valentine's Day came and went. Aether Drift came out, and I have been collecting funny cards because funny racing set. Yeah, it's not a huge amount that's happened over the past 3 weeks because it's winter and not a lot happens in winter, but a few things have happened. I am very excited about the new Lego stuff this year because that's now starting to roll out and like. Eee! What about in your end?
It's funny you mentioned that. So I've been. Well, let's see. Yeah, so this week I've been doing a lot. I've done 6 costume events in about 5 days.
Wow.
Because they all fell on the same time. That was fun. So I've got 4 days of regular people stuff. Looking forward to that now. But I recently just found some lost media on Back to Lego for a bit. So I think I mentioned there was a Bionicle game on the PS2, early 2000s. What if I found out there was one before that never got released?
Interesting.
Until some people found it and were like, "Oh, yeah, let's just release the code and just put it out there anyway, even if Lego didn't want it out there." It's kind of like the PS2 one, but just less polish. It's like a load of mini games for each tower kind of set up, a little bit of a Zelda-style quest line.
Nice.
It's really cool just to look at it and go, "Oh, this almost was a thing." Then I went down the rabbit hole of looking at I remembered something. I already sort of dropped off after the Mask of Light era stuff. But something that always bothered me with Bionicle is you got the brown one and the black one, right? And one of them is, I had to look this up. One of them is the Tower of Earth?
Toe of Earth and Toe of Stone.
Earth and Toe of Stone.
Because those are very different things.
Yeah, that's my point. I was thinking, why are there 2 of you? Because the thing is that the design for the masks was always really cool.
Yeah,
it's like they didn't have a reason to have both of them.
But
I always felt like the
silly thing is that
the stone one was all
even when they did the reboot, they never thought to change it from Earth and Stone.
Oh no, that's so funny. Because the masks did look really cool on him, if I remember right. But both of them. But I always felt like the brown one had no place on the team because it's like,
yeah,
what do you do that
I kick
the other
things.
guy doesn't already do?
Okay.
I kick rocks, yes.
I guess if they called him
I move rocks.
Maybe he's like the. I get the distinction between above ground, because I guess the Earth is more like underground or whatever rather than just ground rather than rock. But But it's the stupid thing is, admittedly, this happened later, but there are other types of Toa, like Toa of Sonics and stuff like that. There are other Toa types other than the main 6. I don't know why they didn't. Yeah. I don't even know why they because all Toa Sonic stuff is canon, I think, but they never actually used any of those types as a figure, which is really weird.
Okay. Yeah, it's like you could have done a Toa of Metal, the Toa of Stone. That'd have been different enough. But no, it's just 2 of them. It's like, why one of them has to go? Seems silly. Although the one thing, I will send the link to. I find someone play through the game, the Lost Media one. I'm going to drop a link to it. Every level, for reasons I don't quite understand, has a dance cutscene. to unlock one of the
love that.
the powers
I love that.
mid-level.
I love that so much.
Every level's got one. It's kind of great. What have I been up to?
Talking of,
so much writing.
Sorry, talking of weird Lego stuff, I found out that so I've been playing Lego Fortnite Brick Life lately, the kind of weird life simulator that's Lego.
Oh yes.
And I found out there is an Easter egg in it. So whenever you join, there is a slight chance that the lobby or world that you're in, that one of the NPCs in it is Pepperoni from Lego Island 1 and 2. No, I am not I am not kidding you. I found him near the fountain. He was just chilling. It's like, wait a minute, is that who I think that is? Pepperoni is in Lego Fortnite.
I have to see. I'm gonna look this up now. Oh yeah, someone's already Googled it.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a fucking minute. Right. Hold the phone. It's like, I know that guy.
Did they keep the voice the same? Because the very 90s,
he doesn't have a voice. In Lego Brick Life, it's just like text. It's just like speech bubbles, which is a shame. But the fact that
makes me sad.
The fact that he's even there all is like. He's alive, my boy. He's alive.
What if they aged him up to be realistic? It'd be really funny.
Old man Pepperoni.
Pepperoni.
Man.
But that's kind of wild. I like that.
Yes. So what else?
So yeah, just dropped the link to that. Yeah. Well, like it's not not a short watch. But apparently it's quite a long game. But I just dropped because I did like my lost media and I was kind of surprised by it. Yeah. Oh, what else have I been up to? So much writing. I've been getting into a habit now of doing micro dungeons.
Uh-huh.
And by that I mean like 5 to 10 room dungeons, and just like I want to write this thing now, and I'll just do it.
Interesting.
Like 1 or 2 rooms a day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just do that and you only really write that and one of the side project, you get so much done, I've found. The thing I'm actually gonna, picture for the homebrew this time is one of those that I like a little more than the others. Although, I find it's a really good way just to try out concepts for just areas that might be cool or might be not.
I think
it's 5 to 10 rooms, you're not busting too much time on it.
Once I fill out this kind of like magic bestiary a bit more, I might move on to doing some mini dungeons myself, using the homebrews that I've made already. So building up a library.
I did find a video that kind of gave me the idea, not directly, but you see, all he did was he rolled like a dice, and then decided that's how many rooms the dungeon's gonna have, and he just wrote around that. So I think I decided 2 plus 1d4 or something rooms, and just write how many rooms that is. Because then then you end up with effectively a one shot that you could just plonk on a map somewhere. Yes, it's probably quite a good exercise.
Sounds.
That's what we got up first because we're on all day. I know what we like.
I guess we go on to our tabletop book club. What do we have?
Convenient, because I found the new one, and I've double checked. This is the last entry that I've seen for Frostgrave Ghost Archipelago. So this one's quite, I've talked about them before because of while at their books. Basically, skirmish game on a desert island, looking for a magic spring of water that gives you immortal life. Basically, it's a really good little skirmish game, really flexible scenarios. And this last book is called Cities of Bronze, and it's really cool because it's right. So way back in the first one, the core book, one of the things it mentioned is like a group of people called the Drykeans, I think they're called, Dicaeans. And this is a tropical island, so they're like a really advanced tribe. But in the original book, they're sort of like given a short entry because there's a lot to go through in that book to set it all up.
Yeah.
This book is all about them.
Nice.
Like the whole thing's Drakian from top to bottom. It's really cool. and it sort of splits them up into kingdoms. And because this is one of those books I love with random tables and stuff, you can randomly generate your own kingdom of Drykian and put them into the game. And there's mechanics and really simple rules for all of it. New crewmen, new monsters, and the 2 new campaigns. You always get like a lot in these. To put into perspective, let's have a look. There is less than 100 pages worth of book here, but it's really concise and well done. And it's what paid 15 quid for it, so you get a bang for your buck. And the campaign basically is a set of themed scenarios with the main rules, with the addition of the new stats for the Drykians as you use them.
Right.
So it's really well. One of the things about it, honestly, is how the scenarios are set up. So they've all got, some of them they all have unique objectives somewhere knocking around. There's quite a few new boss monsters that they focus on in this one that they don't do in the earlier ones. And part of it is a certain scenario. The players can pick their crew as normal, but they also get additional allies from like the Drykians to help you out. So you could, in theory, have some fun making your own kingdom for them. Then you get extra bodies and more opportunities to just convert some cool new minis for it, and you just use them in the scenarios and play against them. The way it's set up as well, both players, in theory, can do. In effect, you can pretty play the scenario, the game as 2 crews going for the treasure against each other, or one crew going against the other player controlling a kingdom trying to stop them, and it's as valid. And because it's so modular, you could go back to their earlier books as well and transplant the Drykians for Snake Men, or the tribes from one of the tribe book I really like, or any of the other monsters. It's a really flexible system. And I think there's a fantastic job of making skirmish games really accessible, all in the same like 25mm scale. So if you're into skirmish games and you're or a DM and you're really like inspiration for like tropical island settings and stuff like that, I think it's one of the best books you can get your hands on. And I bought mine for $14.99. This one, it's 2018, so it's quite a few years old now. But I swear these books, and I'm glad to finally have completed the collection.
Nice.
And once I'm done with the current thing I'm painting, I'm going to actually try and go through my unused sprues and get a crew together and actually try and find a way to play it, because it is a really fun little system, and I want to get good with maybe make a scenario of my own using whatever terrain I haven't assembled and painted yet. So yeah, Cities of Bronze. I would I'd honestly, if on a 10-point scale, I'm going to give it an 8. It's like a high 8. The only reason I can't give it much higher is because, like the expansions, they are short books, but they're comprehensive. But they're not. But they're definitely like a part of the experience, not like the whole thing by itself.
Makes sense.
And aside from that, great book, would recommend. What have we found for this week?
So we're skipping a few because I couldn't find the early ones. Issue 19 of the D&D Adventurer magazine, the Hatchet Printwork stuff. So in this, I think this is slightly more lackluster than the other ones, but there is some interesting bits. So it kind of goes. So the first few pages are about the encumbrance rules, which, I mean, I get that eventually you're gonna have to cover them, but I don't know anyone who uses encumbrance rules. Seems a bit weird to put them at the front.
With them on.
Yeah, seems a bit weird to put it at the front of the magazine, as if it's like the feature, when it should really be an afterthought. But then it talks about lairs, which is quite interesting. The whole lair effects and things, which is a good interesting bit for DMs, because I think so often a lot of DMs forget about lair actions and forget about random, or giving things lair actions that don't necessarily already get them.
That's fair. I do quite like that.
Because the environment exists around you. Use it, both as a player and as a DM. Use the area around you. Yeah, DM top tip. Lair effects and lair actions are typically reserved for powerful monsters, but you can adapt them for weaker creatures easily. Try taking the lair actions of an adult red dragon and scaling the damage all the way down to 1d6 fire damage to make a lair for an army of fiery, metal-flashed Ezza warriors or a red dragon wormling. Yeah, or, like, I don't know, like a fire elemental or something. Or, yeah, if you're in the, what is it, the City of Brass on the Plane of Fire?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's supposed to be really hot, isn't it?
yeah, the only part of the Plane of Fire that you could feasibly go to without burning to death might have some lair actions. If you're fighting in a Efreet or something. But yeah, motivations for monsters, which is pretty good little section. This might be, again,
I like that.
These tables might already be in the monster manual, but it's things like monster personality, monster relationships, the D6 list. They might have a rival, abused by the others, is worshipped, allies will die for it, is outcast with the group, allies ignore it, is an outcast by choice. So yeah, it's kind of like how these monsters interact with each other, rather than just the players. So you might be able to roll, give you some ideas for leverage the players could do, or maybe a particularly zealous monster that someone is trying to charm, but for some reason can't, etc., etc. More on traps as well. This is part 2 of traps. So
I do like me some traps. Good.
Talking about the pit trap, the danger level of traps, and damage severity by level. It's cool for making your own traps. Again, this might be in the monster manual or the DM's guide, but still handy to have it here. So it's talking about.
Let's assume that if you're in the magazine, you might not have bought the DM's guide. So.
But it's everything from setbacks. Is a DC 10 or 11. Attack bonus +3 to +5. Dangerous 12, 15. Deadly 16 to 20. So yeah, it's like that's pretty cool. And then how much damage it should deal based on its severity level and also the character's level, which is pretty decent.
That's a good shout. That's a good shout. That
bringing cities to life.
So how much would you actually pay for the magazine?
So I think they're normally they retail at £9 each, but I picked this one up for £2 from Forbidden Planet. Oh. So some of them you might be able to get them cheaper.
That's endorsement. Maybe someone reading like that one issue before you got it for £2.
Yeah. Bringing cities to life, cities of forgotten realms, roles in the party. So this is very video gamey. It talks about tank, blaster, healer, support, and the face. These are kind of like tropes. I don't think this has been in the DM's guide, because these are kind of tropes that have evolved with D&D colloquially, right?
Yeah.
But it's cool this is a section here. I guess blaster is DPS, basically.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I'm sure that somebody has put the magazine online, cough, cough, or just buy it. If you could probably find this particular issue discounted at this point.
Sure, nobody would dare do something nice
but it's
like
cool that like whoever the writer of this is recognizes this and kind of just points it out, because admittedly I don't like the gaminess of like how D&D's become slightly. I lean into a bit in some aspects, less than others, but party dynamic and party synergy, particularly if you're in a harder campaign, is very important.
Oh, you need it.
If you have if you have no healer, you're gonna feel it.
Yeah, unless your DM really knows how to use their potions, but that's an if. Yes.
There's a section on aboleths, which is pretty cool. It's very brief, but because aboleths have a lair effect, I was kind of talk about this. And then grells, which are very fucking weird creatures. They're like bird aberrations with tentacles. Yeah, they're really weird. And then there's an encounter called the Sewer Stalkers. It's balanced for second level characters, and it has a grell in it. Okay. 50 years ago, the volcano mountain Hotanor erupted, destroying a large part of Neverwinter, wiping out half its population and leaving in its wake a giant gaping chasm that split the city. I think this is actually like actual lore, because there's a primordial in the volcano, isn't there? I think.
Yeah, there is.
In recent years, Lord Dagult Neverember returned to Neverwinter to restore its former glory. Yep. Since then, the chasm has been sealed. Blah 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 blah. One such there's expeditions, and someone's gone missing. Cool. Seems like a basic premise. So you go and explore the sewers and find some weird shit, including carrion crawlers. Oh, lovely.
Oh, I love carrion crawlers.
Well, at least it's only like 1 minute paralyzation, unlike in second edition when it's like several hours.
The thing I've read somewhere, it's like days. Second edition.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's like 1E.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. But yeah, that's issue 19 of that. Just again, I think this is worth it if you get these cheap enough, just for the adventures alone, because I think the adventures are unique to these magazines.
Scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was that. I am out of those, so I'm going to try and go to Forbidden Planet at some point and get some more of them cheap, if they've got more discounted ones.
I'm pleasantly surprised by this particular magazine. Like, I've been given the books grief, but this magazine might be one of the best things they've actually done in a long time. Honestly. Maybe there's a different team on it or something.
So, onto our critical fumble of the week. What do we have this week?
What do we have this week? Yeah. Oh, yes. There's a few. I've had 3 weeks to think about it. Yes. So, Wizards of the Coast again. I've been seeing a lot of fallout with the new Monster Manual.
Oh.
Some of them are more valid than others. I think is this a case of some people are annoyed about it because it's going against a long tradition of the Monster Manual being a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my reason I think might be different. So, you know how like there was the whole debacle with orcs? We've mentioned it a couple of times.
Uh-huh.
Some people getting offended that orcs are in the game because some people imply orcs are like black people. And some of the have you seen I think they dropped the artwork where they look ever so vaguely Mexican, or the stereotype of them?
Yeah, that was like a bit weird.
Yes. Yeah, a bit odd. So in the Monster Manual, orcs are not given a stat block in the Monster Manual.
Huh?
But they are but they are in the game as players.
Right.
So I don't so my confusion is, right, if they were so worked up about orcs being problematic in their own words, why do they not just remove all orcs entirely or rewrite the orcs rather than have them be a playable character, not a monster that randomly appears or is just in the world?
Yeah.
Mechanically, it's really, really strange. More than out of touch. It's like, I guess DMs will run it their own way.
So I guess the philosophy is I suppose if you think about it from one aspect, right? Think about it from this aspect. Right. Okay. If we're looking at orcs in a antagonistic basis, our immediate thought is barbaric tribes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't there a stat block for barbarians? Like enemy and barbarians?
There is.
So why not use that? Because there's just every much of a chance there are human barbarians than there are orc barbarians, I guess.
That's true, but yeah. But
I get, because like you don't single out all bandits are humans. We just assume it's not like human as a stat block.
Yeah, the stat block assumes, though.
Yeah,
weird, but yeah.
Elf doesn't in its own stat block, I guess.
Yes, you are right, but
so I do get it from that perspective. The orcs have been weirdly singled, but I guess like orcs originally were a non-playable race.
That's true.
So I guess that we've been having this weird transitionary period between that. I guess it kind of makes sense, but still, like there are like different flavors of goblins, and goblins have RPCs now as well. But even now, it's like I think
they're not playable now as a race choice. The thing is, DMs will just go by. They'll just go by whatever version of the game they prefer. So people will be playing half elves, even though those aren't in the books officially as at the current version. But I think they've butchered the mechanics of it now. Never mind the cultural bit. It's weird that if you run the new edition as it's written with no DM, improvisation, orcs exist as player characters. but they're weirdly nowhere else.
Yeah, because they're not written
So
in anywhere
every
else, which
orc
is a
is
bit
a
weird.
player character now, as the official wording goes, which
Yeah.
is really strange. Um, the other thing that I didn't even know they did this much. This is more of like a weird. Why they do that? So apparently in the 2014 first edition book, and before, there was always like a little warning, or like a legal statement,
Hmm.
which was clearly meant to be satire about something along the lines of we are not responsible for um, any accidental run-ins with mind flayers and beholders. It's just like a jokey legal statement
Hmm.
that clearly doesn't, and I've just noticed that that is actually in there. That's not the 2024 book. I just think that's an odd little addendum. Like, okay,
So,
um,
alright, sure, I guess.
yeah, a weird choice. Yeah, I'd say that Wizard of the Coast dropping the ball with orcs again, but in a weird way. Um, uh, that's me. That's my bit for this. Anything gone wrong on
So,
your end this week
I
or
know it's
anything
not
else?
tabletop related, but
Go on.
it's actually Mattel and Hot Wheels this time. So
Oh, brilliant.
so apparently Hot Wheels is getting into crypto coins. They've already done NFTs and now they're interested in doing crypto, and I'm like, that's my
Okay.
response. It's like, why you're a toy company, focus on making toys and collectible models. Do not get into crypto coins, because as we know, crypto coins is like the whole crypto sphere. Like, fuck crypto bros for a start. The whole crypto sphere is either crypto bros trying to pump and dump schemes, or it's straight up criminals using that as, like, money laundering and illicit, hidden ways to do their illicit businesses. Why the fuck are they trying to get involved? Why the fuck is it coming with my tail dipping its toes into fucking crypto bro land? Like, I was hoping they were gonna stop with the NFT shit, but they're just getting worse. I'm like, for fuck's sake.
Do you know if they're using AI art as well? Because that might be a thing.
Well, possibly.
Although,
Um,
I suppose with cars it's harder to tell. Um, uh,
yeah. Well, I know that, granted, this is granted not Mattel directly, but I played the first two Hot Wheels Unleashed ones, and in Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, Milestone, the developers, used AI art for some of
right,
their, like, background of their environments,
right.
including things like the backs of box of the board games in the arcade sections. It's like, it's not quite the same, and I don't know if Hot Wheels are actually, or Mattel have actually used AI art. I don't think they have, because they do have some really talented artists, and I do think they do genuinely respect their artists. Crazy, I know.
Yeah.
Imagine respecting your art department. But it's
In this
just,
day and age, you're not replacing
yeah.
them with AI. How nice of you. Um, oh,
But
these are really good.
yeah, like, they do actually have a lot of respect for their designers, to the point where, like, some of them actually get a lot of credit. Like Larry Wood, like, gets a lot of credit for designing a lot of stuff.
Okay. Uh, I will say, despite never really growing up with Hot Wheels, that one that we've brought down to Geek Retreat a few times has been like
Mm.
really fun. But the modding community was kind of ridiculously good, though. Like some of those, like the vinyl designs on some of those
Yeah.
custom vehicles are really well done.
And I know from using that system myself that it's really hard to design a good livery using the art system that you get in that game. It is really difficult. It's most like shapes and layering and stuff. It's like vinyl layers, so you have to, like, really, really stretch things. You can't just free draw. Anyway, yeah. So I'm annoyed at Hot Wheels for that, because I'm like, eesh, like, why? I It makes me lose a lot of respect for the company, when they get into weird shit like that. Like, I'm still
Yeah,
annoyed at, I think
I
it's
get it.
Square Enix for getting into NFTs. And I was like, why the
Yeah, what Final
fuck?
Fantasy needs, it needs like crypto stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. I
Oh, that's
don't.
great.
I
It'll
don't
be like some
want.
weird side quest in the new Final Fantasy VII
Yeah, I
follow up.
don't. I don't need a picture of a monkey with like Cloud Stripe's hair. Thanks. I'm not gonna pay 20 grand for that. No.
Don't give them ideas.
Oh. Anyway, that's my rant for the week.
And
Don't
that's
get
an
into
interesting one.
crypto,
I just nice
folks.
that was the coast because they're so good at making it onto this section.
Hmm.
Um, oh, I've just dropped a couple of the disclaimers that I found online for proof, like the funny like fake disclaimers. Yeah. What we got next?
That's a good question. Let's do our homebrew of the week next. I have brews. Yes.
How very convenient. I just re-downloaded mine.
Ah.
So we got a couple. You got a couple. This one is an attempt to and occasionally I like to bring back a monster that did not get into fifth edition
Mm-hmm.
that I think was really cool. And the other is one of my little mini dungeons that I'm quite attached to. So
Nice.
it was years ago now. Do you remember? Alex was DMing this. We played through Descent into Avernus.
I do.
Yes, I found a very nice PDF of it, and I remember really liking it. Apart from the fact that my main complaint is that, despite being about devils and stuff, it's not really helly enough for me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make the something akin to that actually fit what I thought it was gonna be like. Um, to tell you how bad I thought that module was going to be, I remember, I don't know what room it was in. There was a lot of dungeoneering in that thing, but basically there was a big mural describing all the layers of hell. And my first thought was, we're gonna have to walk through all 9, and I was half ready. I was half ready to do it and die. It would have been really metal as hell. And I'm actually kind of disappointed that's not how it goes.
Yeah, it's like
I'm not sure.
what the
I'm not. Yeah. Well, I'm not
spoilers
sure.
for
Commit to
like an
writing all 9.
old campaign book, by the way. But like, yeah, it wasn't Descent into
Yeah,
Avernus
I'm not
isn't so much a descent as it is a week's holiday.
dipping your toes into Avernus for a few days. More like, yeah. Um, and I don't think I'll write all 9 because that is a lot of that's work even for me. But I
Hmm.
did do. I redesigned what I took the basis for one of the maps in that book and made it into a cave in the abyss.
Ooh.
Because I've been looking up some of the old lore and I quite like designing demons a little bit more. It's that chaotic energy. So
Hmm.
devils, they tend to look. They don't look the same, but it's literally written in law that Asmodeus decided there's only X number of forms they can take. So I wanted a bit more free form fun with it. So I set this little cave in the abyss.
Yay.
So if you were going to run a campaign in the abyss, this was designed to be a good introduction to a pretty standard, if that can be called, layer of the abyss.
So if you don't
Uh,
like the quote unquote canon bit of Into the Abyss, which I also haven't read, supplement this bit.
yeah, pretty much. If you want to start a campaign in at low level in the abyss, this is a really good jumping on point. Designed for levels 1 to 3. I'd say 3 is kind of pushing it, find it a bit easy, but that's sort of range I was shooting for because I always write from the perspective of what I've run for other people.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll change that at some point, but I like writing lower level stuff right now. It's called the Abyssal Cave, and it won't be spoilers to say that there is blood, lots of blood. Because my inspiration was things like a little bit of Drakengard, one,
Mm-hmm.
lots of Dante's Inferno. If you ever any version, really, I go by the video game one, but lots of Dante's Inferno, and the classical idea of hell, even though it's the abyss, just fits demons slightly better.
Hmm.
Where it's grim, it's really unpleasant, death, torture. You know, that's expect to see quite a lot of that and implications of the rest. What else we got? There are new demons that I've come up with for this. The low level ones, but I was inspired by stuff like Then you've played it. From Software made a game called Kuon. Kuon.
Doesn't ring a
One of their older
bell.
titles. Some of that was inspired by that, and a little bit of, I guess, some of the idea recycled for Elden Ring. But yes, some of the enemies are based on that. Everything in it was designed to be not necessarily difficult to beat because it's low level, but unpleasant to deal with, or at least unsettling and slightly gross. Because my thought was, right, I'm writing hell, effectively, but it's not hell because it's called the Abyss. So I went pretty heavily down that road. I did, however, have a lot of fun doing it. So almost went into a sort of weird fugue state writing some of it. It was really cool. I will say there's an enemy I really liked writing, and this is one of those enemies I love to write where they're very easy to beat, but they're so meant to be off-putting. They sort of leave an impact anyway. And there's a trait I've used before that I really like, called unfit. It's basically, I've used it before I think I've told you about this one. There was some Silent Hill inspired homebrew I did a while back. But basically, it's a really negative trait. But the creature can dash, but it has to pass a con save, or there's some horrible side effect, because it's just slightly ungainly on land or something. So it's basically it can dash, but at massive penalty to itself. Then again, these are meant to be low level demons that suffer. So it's like, you know what, they probably should be a bit rubbish, and that's completely fine. Also establishes a bit of homebrew lore I've put in for a particular demon lord you may or may not want to use, and establishes how the cult of that demon might work. You don't have to use it, but it's all just a pretty cool idea. Also, for people like that magic, I have new spells. Only 3 of them, but I have some new spells.
Nice.
And let's have a looky. Yes, the trick with these spells is that, much like the rest of it, the catch is that it's one of the few spells with a fail state.
Oh,
like its effect is they're quite good buffs, but they have conditions. They have conditions you have to meet to keep the spell up. It's a really good buff if you get it off, but there's a massive downside to having the spell fail or breaking the terms of the spell.
Right.
It's only level 1, but I think it's a really interesting way to do a buff that's also abyssal by nature. There's also a nice little optional thing you can do with a nice big sacrificial altar. You can take a few guesses at what that means. But again, I was really leaning heavily on the classic old biblical depiction of hell with this particular one, like down to the very end of it, where I just had this is almost this weird, it's almost like had this weird vision of how this would look in my head, and I just love this idea. It's sort of like something from a nightmare that you might have, like the nightmare you're trying to escape from something, but for some reason your legs don't work, or you're too slow. It's like running in slow motion. So I adapted a little bit of that into there, and I just kind of love the image, and I think it really establishes a good, the right tone for the Abyss campaign.
Makes sense.
I will not spoil it because I really actually quite like it. I'll just drop it in the chat. The other thing, quite a bit shorter, just a little monster update I quite like. There's a thing I found in the 3rd edition Man Punch called an Ethereal Marauder. I'm not mad on the name, but the design, which I'll now drop in chat, is really quite nice. Where it comes, weightless cats.
Oh, did you sorry, the weightless cats, yeah, I posted that a while ago. It was very funny looking.
Oh, I'll have to watch that later.
Cats and zero gravity.
This is an Ethereal Marauder. I think it looks kind of neat. For those that can't see it, they look like 2-legged beast things with like a triangular shaped mouth and like hooks in of its mouth. It does remind me. Have you ever seen any of the Tremors films?
No. I was
Right, because they
thinking,
remind me of quite
yeah.
a.
I
Well, here we go. Yeah, they remind me of something from the second Tremors movie. When I looked at it,
uh
might have been deliberate, might have not been,
see
but I quite liked them.
Yeah, my first thought. Oh,
There we
yeah,
are.
I see the resemblance. So my first thought when looking at that image was the trailer for the new Jurassic World movie, all the weird mutant dinosaurs. This
Oh,
looks like a mutant,
actually, that's
like
pretty close.
it's like a mutant theropod of some sort.
We took a Velociraptor and bred it with
Yeah,
a scorpion for some
yeah,
reason.
and this
Yeah,
is what happened.
um, it's a weird thing about them. These are like from the ethereal plane, and they have a really standard bite attack. Um, what they also do is they can teleport at will. They can just do that.
Oh, they're like,
I think that's kind of neat.
yeah, like Displacer Beast or Blink
They're
Dog,
just
just like bye.
yeah, they're just low C. They're like a low CR displacer beast stand. I think they're really cool. The thing I tweaked with them though, because I was reminded of the weird small graboid things from Tremors 2,
Mhm.
is I gave them like 3 tongues with hooks, so they have like a reach attack as well.
Nice.
So I just thought really cute little idea, but I kind of like them. It's quite a little experiment, fun experiment, just to like go through all the monster manuals, or if not non D&D monster manual books, and be like, this is a cool monster. Let's pop it into 5e and see what comes out. I think I've gone on enough there. So what have you come up with this week?
So I've been carrying on with Mirrodin stuff this week. So I made 2 more varieties of mirror. I'm gonna try and get through as many types as I can before I do a big because I might do a dungeon myself based in pre-Phyrexian Mirrodin. This is going way back to like
Very
early
cool.
era with Memnarch, who is like there's a lot of lore. He's the incarnation of this like magical item called the Mirari. He goes a bit mad, a bit totalitarian, starts kidnapping things from other realms and putting them in Mirrodin. He's a bit weird, but
As you do.
but the Mir in that era were like his minions basically. So there's the sun-touched
Okay.
Mir from Darksteel. It's a Darksteel.
Right.
Um, this has Sunburst, so they get stronger for each color of mana you pay into it in the card game. So you go, oh, if you pay like it's
Right.
only a 3 cost, so you can't unless you mess things about and make things cost more, you can't really get in more than a 3/3. But I've interpreted that as so during the day they get +2 to all of their 6 core attributes, and an additional +2 to all of those attributes at the hour of noon specifically. And if an area is rich in mana, it gets another
Oh,
+2.
what?
So potentially they could be either pretty strong, having 16s across the board, or they could just be at 10 across the board, depending on when you encounter them or when you decide to fight them. So there's a bit of strategy
Oh,
there. Like if a bunch of Sun-touched Mir are guarding a place, maybe don't attack in the middle of the day.
I like the concept of a monster that's stronger at a certain hour of the day. It's
Because I guess
kind of
like because
weird.
the idea is that the sun at noon, the sun is highest at the sky, right? So
Oh
the
yes, no,
apex. So they're
oh,
gonna
I
get
get it.
more solar energy during that hour, and they're susceptible to magical
Okay.
energy, so they get stronger in an area of high magic. And they do a little bit of fire damage with their Sunspark attack, which is a small ranged attack. Only range of 30 feet, but it can do a little bit
Yeah.
of fire damage. They don't do a heck of a lot of damage base, but obviously if it's noon and it's high magic zone, that's a +3 to each attack that they do. And they are only a CR half, so they're not. But again, if it's, at the apex of the day and there's a lot of them, that could be a problem pretty quickly. And I like the idea of Mir as like a mob type enemy. You don't normally encounter them by themselves. There's usually a few of them, and there's usually a few different varieties. So you have to
Okay.
actually, so the kind of monster that isn't necessarily strong, but you have to think a bit before while you're fighting them, or before you fight them. And recognizing and
Okay.
identifying different types is probably important too. So getting your history and arcana knowledge in. Wink, wink, folks. So the other one is the Shimmer Mirror, which has the flavor text of it
Yep.
evades Phyrexians by hiding in the spaces between seconds, which is weird. So they have an
Okay.
ability called Shimmer Away, which recharges in a D6/6. It's one of those big, strong abilities that doesn't necessarily come back. It hides in the space in time, unable to be harmed for 1d6 turns. So they basically blink out. They can't do anything to you, but you also can't do anything to them for 1d6 turns. During this time, they obviously can't do the recharge or anything like that. So you could wind up it blinking out. The party ones having to face it, diverts their attention from it, and suddenly they come back and smack you again.
Okay.
And yeah, so that sounds bit basic. Again, they're not particularly strong, but
basic isn't bad.
I like them because they have they're mostly the same kind of template, but each one has a different weird ability that when a few of those different types are combined, could prove to be a bit of a challenge.
Okay. I've always said there's a lot to be said for low-level monsters, and also modular monster profiles. Because it's nice as a DM when you've what I'd like to do is I like to keep a record of homebrew at the stuff. At this point, I'll have a flat document where if I put a new monster in a game, no matter what game, I'll just have one document with every single thing I've done on it. So if I need to put them in again, I'll just copy paste that in. So you do your own cheat sheets. But that is quite nice. And I kind of like the little monsters. I've always liked running goblin counters and kobolds, stuff that people tend to underestimate.
Yeah, so I guess
don't run that.
The best way to describe Mir is probably that they're like machine kobolds.
Let's have a look. They sound cool. It's spelled MYR.
MYR, yeah. They're like little koboldy guys. Yeah.
Let's have a looky. Mir.
Both in the way they look and in the way they act. They are very pick-a-master kind of creatures.
Oh yeah, they're the perfect little minions. Yeah, I do like minion monsters. Oh, the frogman looks they're actually quite cool. I like them. Okay. Some of them are a bit more wall-y than the others, but I think that kind of works. There's a design going on here. Oh, it's a token. It's quite a good token. Whoa. Hold up here. Right. Now you know your magic cards well. So I've been looking up Mirs. Would you say paying 97.53 for a Mir token, Scars of Mirrodin, is worth it?
No.
Not that I'm thinking of it. Not that I'm thinking about it, because someone's doing that on Amazon. That just seems a little insane to me.
If it was like a hand-painted one, maybe I would do 10 quid. If it was like a hand-painted custom one, maybe. That was done by a masterpiece painter, sure. But I don't think I'd go for any more 5-10 quid on a token.
No, that's valid. Just checking rarity of this, because it's a token, so don't know many rare tokens. No, anyway, what we got to wrap up?
So, I think that's basically it. Have you bought any new miniatures lately for our miniature of the month?
Have I? I did pick up some new ones. While I was passing by Solly Hall. You might like these actually. I think they're still going. The mini of the month down Games Workshop is some of the new clam rats. And interestingly enough, they are. There's 2 of them as mini of the month this time.
Nice.
Which I think is kind of weird. And I'll just try and get a picture of them. I haven't started painting them or anything, so I'm going through a box of ancient Imperial Guard to get them out of the way and use them for generic dudes with guns, but I might touch them up. They're quite right. Yeah. So Skaven clam rats. And find them. And find them. They do have a little bit of jumping in the air syndrome. But it's not obnoxious. So I will say that right off the bat. There they are. Speaking of, how many of those have you got done? Because you mentioned at one point you were painting
I
some
haven't
clam
gotten any base coated yet. I've been that busy with other things. I haven't actually gotten anything base coated. They're still like on the side, like, please paint me. I'm
Don't
gonna
worry
get them
about it,
done
it's
at
fine.
some point. I am gonna get them done. It's just I got so much other things to do.
Yeah, just drop it in. They've done a good job of like making them look a little more bespoke. I do. Oh, it's funny actually. Now you mention it, because Mitchell, ginger guy who've been friends with since just about forever. He is getting into 500 points of 40k for a stag
Hey.
do, and possibly games beyond that. And he's doing Imperial Guard, and he's been having first time trouble assembling miniatures because you can't do it without taking you can't take all the bits off and then figure it out.
Yeah.
As you got a really good eye. So he's been dealing with that, which has been interesting to see firsthand. Yeah, so the similar done the push fit, the ones I've been doing, like there's a couple of them. They are push fit, so they're kind of easy to assemble, but I found that the thing the camera on the left is weirdly difficult to like his little push fit prongs don't go quite in the way they should.
Oh.
You need to not put a bit weird. Might filed it off wrong, but yeah, that's the only gripe I do have with it. But what do you think of the redesign? Because I quite like it.
I think it's alright. I do like the redesign. I do like the. I don't
Yes,
know.
the one thing I don't.
It's. I guess I'm still a sucker for the traditional because I did mine as like a unit of halberdier. I'm still a sucker for like the rank and file style of Old World.
No, I do get that. I think these are supposed to be like the expendable clan rats, and these are more like hand them whatever hand weapon you got kind of deal.
Yeah.
But given that I got them for free, I'm quite happy with them. I might have to do a compare and contrast with that. I think I suppose now it's the old Skaven clan rat that I painted a couple of months back. Because I also got that one as a mini of the month and never did anything with it. Yeah. So anything else you got to add or?
Yes, because I was literally looking for this a while back because you got me something ages ago. I thought it was Mind of Warlord. The old rattling gun.
Oh yes,
old Skaven rattling gun. I finally dug it out. I might get this bad boy painted. There's something so very, very retro classic about this rattling gun. Like the older, like snoutier designs of those Skaven from this era. Yeah, the metal one.
Oh, I know that. I think I know the exact one you're on about. Just right. Oh my god, I just saw the new one, and they just like made the gun mahusive.
Yeah.
No, is this the one with the firing team? There's just two of them on the base.
Yeah, there's two of them. Yeah.
Oh, it's lovely. I like that little guy. Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
And I don't know. There's something very cool about having Skaven from different eras. I think because again, Skaven are anything but uniform. So it's
very
cool
true. Yeah,
it's cool to have like a bunch of different looking guys. Especially, I think like the technical ones would be the snouty looking ones because I think there's a bit of a stereotype with the. It's like, do you know the jackals from Halo? How they're very sort of, long nosed, like long headed. There seems to be this kind of, I guess, stereotype or cliche or trope with long faced things and being the sniper / gunner types. I don't know.
And the wiry fellas.
Yeah, the wirier boys,
I
like the gunners.
I always assume most Skaven are kind of sneaky and weaselly looking. Apart from they don't. Thankfully, I don't. I'm gonna check. I don't think they have a model, but brood mothers. I don't think. But I imagine they're gross and fat and bulbous.
Yeah.
Because all they do is pump out. All they do is pump out. Oh no. I don't know if this is the official one. or a
Oh,
really good proxy.
what have you
But I've
found?
seen there's a couple of fantastic ones.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if this is official. I'll double check it. I'm going to drop it in because it is kind of what I imagined it would look like.
Hmm. Oh,
Forge World, yeah, it's official. This is that's Broodmother.
wow. So I remember reading about them in the the Skaven old Skaven Codex book years ago in Old World, and I never realized they had a model because I think when I started playing Skaven they didn't have a model, so this must be really old.
I think it's Forge World, so it must be a little old. Oh god, you know what? I noticed. Okay, off, but I found like a some Reddit thread on classic Skaven. And I just think I found like what I consider one of the most classic Skaven things ever. Do you know the Globadia? Do they still? I think they're still on
Yes,
the list, aren't they?
I used to have some Warplot Globadiers because I'm pretty sure they came in the Island of Blood set.
Oh, God, yes, I actually like that. That's quite a cool box set.
Hmm.
You got a fat army in that. For high elves or Skaven, where's the older model? Because I think he's a really decent
Yeah, I
pose.
had back in the day, I had 2 boxes worth of that because I had the one box that I bought to start off with, and then
Yes.
I split a box with somebody else who was playing elves and wanted to expand their army,
Oh, perfect.
and
Yeah.
it was just cheaper to buy one box and split the halves than buy two
Oh,
battalions
yeah. I can
basically.
agree with that.
So I was running around like 4 rat ogres, which is very funny. That.
I quite like the rat ogres. How are they to assemble? It's not quite big and chunky. It's quite like chunky models like
The
that.
ones from Island of Blood set were really piss easy to assemble, as I recall. I don't know what they're like now, the new molds, but they were easy to
They've
assemble.
probably got some really nice poses that
Yeah,
requires a bit of
I think because it was the Island
messing
of
about.
Blood box set, you didn't get quite so many options, but I think that even back
Yeah.
then, the proper box ones would have had like a rattling gun version or a bunch of other options because,
Yeah.
but again, I don't know if they've changed it now, but back in the day, like there were a lot of options you could take points wise for rat ogres. There were a few different
Yes.
options.
You don't. It should remind me to drop it in. It says I have an old issue of White Dwarf from years ago.
Mm,
They have a whole like experimental clan molder list. I think you might enjoy.
nice.
Um, which is pre-Age of Sigmar by quite a ways. Back when they used to have weirdo army lists in the magazine
Yeah,
that
I
some
love
guy
this
came up with.
guy.
Uh,
He's
I'd have to
shaped
show you, they're really cool.
he's shaped
Um,
like a friend. If by
he is, yes.
friend, mass
He has
square.
the classic. Did notice with like miniatures from that era, if they wanted someone to look important, it doesn't matter what species they were, they have a sword raised.
Mm,
So they got this pose, which I quite like. Um, I quite like. I think it's a quite a cool little model.
I love that
Yeah.
guy.
Yes, you were talking about the Island of Blood stuff. Doesn't really matter if you've necessarily got like limited options with Skaven because you're painting 20 to 40 clan rats alone, plus the
Mm.
rest. Is the lack of option really that much of a hindrance?
Um, it depends on what clan you're wanting to run with. Because if we look at let's look at the
Okay.
Island of Blood bot. Let's have a look at what's in the thing. Cause it's been so long since I had the stuff from it, I forgot what's in it.
Yeah.
So in the Island of Blood box, I'm just gonna open this image. Hang on a minute. You get, I think it's enough for 2 units worth of clan rats, which is fine. That makes sense. You get a few rat ogres and their handler, obviously. A warlord, a warplock engineer, the flamer team, the warp fire thrower, and the globadier team. So the problem with this is you obviously don't get any big vehicles. If you wanted to go with you don't get any doom wheels, you don't get the little ones. If you wanted to go
The rat
more
swarms?
vehicle ones, you're kind of shit out of luck.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
there's If you wanted to go weapon teams, I guess you get those two, but there's no option to convert one into a Rattling gun or the Jezzails. So you don't get any of those.
Yeah,
So it's like, if you wanted to go more to that clan, basically it's a good building block, and definitely if you wanted more clan rats, get another box. I think it works out about right anyway. And you could convert the characters into other things. But unless you're wanting to double up on those specific teams, specifically, because, like, Rat Ogres are more of a Molder thing, generally, and the teams are more of a Clan Skyer thing. So you don't get a lot of Clan Pestilence-related stuff, although I guess Warp Plot... Yeah, you don't get any Pestilence-specific stuff, because Pestilence does have specific units. You don't get any Grey Knight-related, Grey Seer-related stuff, and things like that. You don't get any Storm Vermin, so if you wanted to do that one clan that has Quick Headtaker in it, you can't really do that. It's a building block, basically. So there's that aspect.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the other thing is that, again, unless you are starting to get into converting things, you don't really need 2 Warlords or 2 Warplock Engineers.
Okay, so what did they do in the list? The Warplock Engineers.
I think they're a caster.
Never really played them.
They're a caster.
Okay. Fair enough.
The other part of this is, of course, the Elven side. I guess having another wizard is fine, but your leader is on a giant fucking griffin in this case, which is like, that's a big model to have.
Elven High Elf Prince on a griffin.
That's a big model to have 2 of. You could nix the rider, but I don't think there is a specific rule thing for just a griffin in the High Elven lists. I don't think.
No, not in the new editions of Warhammer. The old editions, there was, for some reason.
And one of your ones are I think they're the Sea Knight ones. So again, if you're not particularly interested in that, I guess, district of elves,
yeah,
that's a lot to convert.
I remember quite liking the Lothern Sea Guard, because they were a weird unit. Because with high elves, they're pretty high fantasy. So you had some with spears, you had some with bows, and then the Sea Guard are weird because they came with both.
Yeah,
so they were kind of useful to have about. But the way that I remember they played is high elves they paid a lot per unit, individual model. But the thing they had strikes first. So they always hit you first, even if you charge into them, I think. So they usually hit quite reliably, but they weren't particularly strong. And if you hit them back, they were likely to fold. So they're kind of like glass cannons. And the whole High Elf list played a bit like that. So kind of playing Eldar, in that you've got like some really reliable basic troops, and everything else around them is expensive specialist troops.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're Skaven, as you would know, you flood the board with rat swarms. I miss the rat swarms. I like the rat swarms.
I like the rat swarms.
Yeah, I've seen some people do some really nasty stuff with them because they were cheap as hell. I forget how many points. Kind of forgotten. You could pretty much screen the entire Skaven army with just a load of rat swarms that have like 3-4 wounds each, and some of them had you could have like poisoned rat swarms or something. They'd all do poison damage, and them dying is going to happen, but they would do a lot of damage before that happened, and they just stall for time. So it's something horrible to go up against. But really, the Skaven obviously is all about horde and just flooding the board being really annoying.
Yeah. I like the rats for that. Just many boys. Yeah,
I do like that. It's a fun army. Yeah.
So yeah, that's our miniatures of the month. I thought that was cool. I will get that boy. Like I say, I'm gonna get all this stuff painted up at some point, just for show's sake, if anything else. I might even wind up running some in D&D. Actually, just having some rat boys. Because rat boys are funny.
Ratkin are a pretty, It's a pretty standard thing to put in.
But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to this issue of the podcast, and we will see you guys.
This issue of the issue.
Yeah, so next time.
Yeah, see you then, bro.
So, let's do our usual do the horns, blast the bugles. We're gonna raid out to fucking Melon. Yeah, we'll give Melon a raid. So the message is below. Type that in, copy that in, and we'll see you guys soon. So hopefully next week.
See you soon.